Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Pragmatic about what if Egypt was a Pokemon region. Of course, this is the first episode of it, so we'll be checking out the starters.
What if Egypt was a Pokemon region? Well, let's find out with the Karyos region. Hey everyone,
Honestly, this dude makes so many regions. He used to be called the Region Man.
in here. And I'm back
Yeah, that
with
was
another
bad.
region review, though this one's a bit different. Rather than a reaction to the full region, I'll be picking out some of my favorites so you all can go check out the rest of the region for yourself. So make sure
Oh, this is the one he made. He's reacting to one. Okay. Oh, well, reviewing one.
to go follow Legends Karyos on Instagram for more. Link in the description. Anyway, let's talk about Karyos' starter Pokemon. Allow me to introduce Shrubon, Coburnt, and Slugob. Go ahead.
Okay, so it looks like we got a grass rabbit, a fire snake, and a water, or axolotl.
Ahead and guess what you think their final typings will be now and which one you'd pick. First,
Oh, okay, let's see. You're clearly water type, and judging by how you're based on an axolotl, I would guess a fairy. Fire, plus the pink mustache. This would definitely, Actually, I'm not sure. I mean, you could be grass fairy, you could be water dog. Okay, and you would be fire poison? I'm actually not sure.
let's talk about Shrubon, the shrub Pokemon, a pure grass type. This adorable starter definitely has my heart with its literal bushy tail and twig-like horns,
So
which actually make
cute.
it into a Jackalope, one of my favorite cryptids. I used to have a pet rabbit, so I'm a sucker for a good bunny Pokemon, and it being a starter makes it all the better. Shrubon can be seen picking berries
do
and
agree.
stashing them in their bushy tails. They specifically keep Spellon berries as they are the best to throw at opponents. These little dudes are cute and practical. That's my kind of starter. Shrubon evolves into Bunalope, the eloping Pokemon. Apparently, this Pokemon is known for running away from their trainers, hence the eloping part of their name. But with it also
Okay.
being based on a jackalope, it becomes a punny, or should I say bunny, double entendre. Design-wise, I like that the tail has kind of transformed into these little side pouches. They almost look like
Okay, this could be grass fairy or grass fighting.
holsters. Maybe they keep berries in there just like Shrubon so they have quick access to their weapon of choice. With this being based on a jackalope, which is from the Wild West, maybe this has some kind of cowboy inspiration? Not sure how it ties into
maybe.
Egypt just yet, but we'll see. And I want to see you again, so go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons so we can make that happen. Bunalope evolves into Arnabun, the fertility
Grass fairy, of course.
Pokemon, a grass fairy type. I think this design is so cool, y'all. I love the almost druidic nature magic flowing through its horns, which looks super elegant in and of themselves. But
That
despite
is really
having horns,
nice.
the whole design just feels so soft. I'm not quite sure how I feel about something being labeled the fertility Pokemon, but this motif was alluded to in its previous stage with Bunalope eloping. Also, thanks to this Pokemon, I've discovered a new Egyptian god. Apparently, this line is based on Unut or Waynut, an Egyptian god
Oh.
of fertility and new birth. She was depicted with the head of a desert or cape hair with the body of a woman. Arnabun definitely
Okay,
fits that description
okay.
with its more humanoid appearance, which is typical of starters as of late. But let's move on to the fire starter, Coburnt, the hooded Pokemon, a pure fire type. I love me a good snake starter, and I think this one
Clearly
is
a
super
cobra.
unique, turning the hood of a cobra into a literal hood, giving it the most Vivi from Final Fantasy IX vibes, which I adore. Also, the tongue of a snake being turned into these little drawstring-esque parts is so fun and clever. This hood protects Coburn from the scorching heat of the deserts of Karyos, where it gracefully slithers through the sand, leaving a
Biodog,
wavy
maybe?
pattern behind. Coburn evolves into Hissassin, the stealth Pokemon. I'm
Nope.
a big fan of this dude.
Fire
The tongue
poison.
parts being turned into a mustache, incredible work. A snake starter gaining exclusively legs is an angle I don't think I've seen before. Usually it's arms first, then legs, or just arms, so this is definitely a unique take. Maybe this is based on the Egyptian god Nehebkau? It's a funerary god who is depicted as a snake with feet, so that would make sense with Hissassin's name
Man, that
and it
is
having
so
a poison-tipped
weird.
tail. Nehebkau was said to be born by just coming out of the earth, and Hissassin are desert dwellers, camouflaging and concealing themselves by alternating their color, so that also tracks. Hissassin evolves into
Fire
Venobra,
poison?
the
Yeah!
Bedouin Pokemon.
There we
a
go.
Fire poison type. Yet another starter that taught me something new. This Pokemon
Okay, so the last one must be water, not fairy. Maybe water ice? No. Oh, the other type has to form another triangle.
is based on the Bedouin people of the Arabian Peninsula and North Africa. They're a desert-dwelling people that are known for their nomadic herding and agriculture. Being in the desert, they tend to cover themselves with layers of fabric, which is what Venobra alludes to with its design.
I'm
The
also
way its
not
hood flows
sure.
into its tail honestly reminds me of an Arabian-style rug. I
I
know I
do
mentioned
like
the
this,
Hebcow
though.
before, but there's another snake god that this line could take from called Renenutets, that takes the shape of an enormous serpent that can breathe fire. This is yet another
Damn.
god I've learned about thanks to this region. I'm having an absolute field day here as a mythology lover. Then finally for our water starter, we have Slugob, the slug Pokemon, a pure water type. This little guy is too cute. Obviously, this is based on the Blue Dragon Sea Slug, which is definitely a candidate for best Nudibranch
Oh, my mistake. I thought it was based on Axolotl.
on Earth. Goomy is also based on this kind of slug, and this just goes to show you really can't miss when you're going for a Blue Dragon Pokemon. To endure the extreme heat of Kyrios, Slugob covers its body in mucus, which gives off a surprisingly sweet smell. Slugob
Oh, so wait, would this become a water dragon then?
evolves into Globicus. This is a decent middle stage in my opinion. It adds a few more details like this gem in the forehead, and overall it's a cool design. It just doesn't really add too much to the overall concept in my opinion. Its hands, fins, whatever these are, mixed
call
with its
them
body
flip-balls.
proportions and the pose, remind me of Gomamon from Digimon.
Oh,
and no,
yeah.
comparing Pokemon to Digimon is not an insult. Apparently, this Pokemon is very good in the
Been
water
happening for
because of its
years.
slicker body, but struggles when on land. Globicus evolves into Sluguntis,
There it
the
is.
sea dragon
Water
Pokemon,
dragon.
a water dragon type. This evolution is so majestic. With it being based on a blue dragon sea slug, the typing makes complete sense. It also makes an incomplete secondary type trio, which I'm always an advocate for, because honestly, we
Nice.
need more. I will never not take the chance to soapbox about this. Anyway, I looked for
Yeah,
what
Fairy is weak to poison.
possibly could be the inspiration behind this line, and I couldn't come up with a definitive answer. The best I could do is the goddess Isis, who is related to mysticism and sometimes rain, as in this Pokemon's Dex entry, it channels mystic power to fly and bring about rain. But there's also a draconic creature from Egyptian myth called the Akek, that had an Oryx's
Ooh.
body, bird wings, and a serpent's tail. It's commonly associated with Set, who is also a god of storms, so that tracks as well. Either way, this is
Could
a
be any of
fantastic
them.
trio of starters. It seems the group theme of these three are Egyptian gods, but that can be said about a few of the Pokemon in this region, so I tried to see if there was any other themes, and the only thing I could find was this book from 2013 called The
Whoa.
Dragon, the Thief, and the Princess, which is set in ancient Egypt.
And that would actually make a lot of sense. Because assassins are also sometimes hired as thieves. This literally looks like a princess, and then you have a dragon. Oh, it's perfect.
It does line up with the starters' themes, though I doubt this was the inspiration. But
Oh no,
it's a funny
I'm saying it
happenstance.
is.
Next, we have the early root bird of the region with Falette,
Ooh.
Zapavian, and Zapatho, all of which are flying electric type. This entire line
Nice.
screams ancient Egypt in such a fun way. They all seem to be based on falcons and have a theme of falconry. I really enjoyed the use of blue and white across this design with just that little bit of yellow.
Man, I hope the shiny of this takes that blue and makes it red instead. That way it could be like calling out to Ra, the Egyptian god of the sun.
To let you know it's definitely part electric type. All the while, this coloration falls in line with many depictions of ancient Egyptian clothing. This line appears to be based on the Egyptian deity, and please forgive my pronunciation, Kebe Senuf, one of the four sons
Kebe
of Horus.
Senuf?
These gods were associated with canopic jars, which were used in the process of mummification.
Oh.
This is actually the basis of one of three plot lines of the Kyrios region called the Path of Godhood. Zapatho is one of 5 canopic alpha Pokemon that can give you a mythical organ to offer up to the depowered legends of the region. Horkon or Seth
Ooh.
Evil. One of the other canopic alphas comes with Anulu, a pure rock type, and Oranubis, a rock fighting type. These two are a very interesting type
Love
of
it.
Pokemon. Anulu could certainly pass as a type of convergent Pokemon, but its evolution into Oranubis makes it unique. A brand new evolution to a convergent Pokemon is such a fun and interesting concept. I mean, with these kinds of Pokemon, we've had the name slipped upon evolution with things like Poltergeist and Sinistcha, so I could totally see this happening in a future generation. Either way,
I'm
Oranubis
liking
is
this.
based on Duamutef, the jackal-headed son of Horus. But just like Lucario, it is also clearly based on Anubis, the Egyptian god of
clearly.
funerary rites and protector of graves, which tie together well given Duamutef and Anubis are both jackal-headed and associated with death and funerals. Design-wise, quadrupedal versions of Riolu and Lucario with a more silvery and gold color scheme is an
Never been
absolute
seen
win in my
before.
book.
It's pretty good.
After that, we have Thottle and Thistlant, which are both pure grass types, that finally evolve into Themilia, a grass rock type. These three are all clearly based on thistle plants, which I find to be a
Thistle
fun spin
plants,
on a typical
right,
grass
right.
waifu concept. Like they're saying in their designs, I may be cute, but actually stay the hell away from me, you creep. Honestly, I think either Thottle or Thistlant are a bit unnecessary to this line. You could skip straight from Thottle to Themilia or Thistlant to Themilia, and you really wouldn't be losing too much. There just isn't significant enough of a jump from Thottle to Thistlant to warrant it being 3 stages, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could
Nevertheless,
see that.
I quite enjoy this line, Themilia especially. Actually, Themilia is a part of one of the other paths of Kyrios, the Path of the Pharaoh. which you have to
Whoa.
defeat 19 different Pokemon who represent the Pharaoh phenomenon.
Whoa, wait, what? Damn, this region would actually be badass.
One of the gimmicks of this region. From what I understand, it works similarly to terrestrialization, but manifests as one of the 19 pharaohs of this region. The other gimmick of Kairios is Mega Evolution. The final path of this region is the Path of Champions, which is the typical gym challenge, working up to the Elite Four and eventually becoming champion of Kairios. So with some of the major story elements in Pokemon talked about, who likes Rotom forms? Because Kairios adds
Yeah, who
4
doesn't?
more. First we have a familiar one, Rotom Drone, which is an electric bug type, taking the drone part literally
okay.
as in the name of a male bee, which I think works for the bug type.
Ah, now
Next
that's kinda
we have
clever.
Rotom Ping, an electric psychic type, a computer mouse that takes on the animal mouse-like features. Doesn't scream psychic type to me, aside from maybe the technological side of things. Maybe it being an electric psychic type mouse acts as a reference to Alolan Raichu? Not sure, but the
No, I would say it's because it's wireless. It's a wireless mouse. So it's, you know, would technically be connected without being connected. So the psychic type would make sense for it being a wireless mouse. Because no cable. Well, how are they connected? That kind of
design
crap.
itself is very fun and clever. Then we have Rotom Drill, an electric steel type. A jackhammer that digs
Aw.
into earth reads more as a rock or ground type to me, but I can definitely see steel working for this given the material
Also, if you're gonna call it a drill Rotom, make it an actual drill. This is more like Jack Rotom.
head of a jackhammer. Though a jackhammer or drill potentially being quad weak to the thing it's digging into is a hilarious prospect. Last but not
That's
least, for the
funny.
Rotom forms, we have Rotom D&D, an electric dragon type. Now that's what I'm talking about.
But that looks more like a bat, so that would be more like an electric dog type.
Rotom that takes over a GameCube controller, acts as a Dungeons & Dragons reference, and has wings that look like crowbats. It's like this form was made specifically for me. Needless to say, I love this form, no notes. While we're talking about forms, how about some regional forms? So here are Kairiosian Skitty and Delcatty. Despite their darker
Aw,
appearance, they're
not
both
bad.
normal fairy types. They're giving major Umbreon energy, which I love. And on top of that, in the Kairios region, they actually get a third stage. So meet Bastaline. With a name and design like that, this entire line is based on Bastet, who is sometimes interpreted as a cat-headed moon goddess, which also acts as an inspiration for
she's even in
Umbreon.
Terraria.
That's why these lines are so similar. Seeing the Skitty line get this love definitely warms my heart. I've been wanting to see something of this line since Gen 4 when we started getting new Evos to old Pokemon.
That
okay,
is
so who
good.
likes freaky little guys? I do. So here is Automat,
Whoa,
the
what
Judge
the-
of Life Pokemon, which is an
Oh.
electric ghost type in its pure form, but an
I was literally just wondering what this was, but then I realized, it's a scale. When you die in Egyptian mythology, your heart is weighed against that of a feather. If your heart is pure, you go up. If your heart is evil, you get consumed by a hippo alligator.
electric dark type in its impure form. These forms are based on the cosmic scales of the Duat, where your heart is weighed against a feather, and if your heart is lighter, then you go to Aru, or the Field of Reeds, a heavenly paradise. But if your heart is heavier than the feather, you are eaten by Amit, the crocodile-faced devourer of the dead, which in and of itself
Exactly.
would make a sick Pokemon, which I think Jawron here may evolve into. Anyway, I think these two are so interesting. They give off such an off-putting yet powerful energy. And
One thing I just realized though is the size of the feather. Like, look, this feather is massive, but this feather is minuscule. Like, why is that?
remind me heavily of Deoxys. The only thing I struggle with is I just don't see the electric type at all for these two. Like, I get the little part on the back of the head kind of looks like a machine part, but conceptually, the Steel or Ghost type make far more sense to me. Like,
Oh,
these
clearly
could be Steel
Ghost
Fairy
type.
and Steel Dark, or Ghost Fairy and Ghost Dark, and feel more in line with the origin and the designs of these two. But that's just my opinion. If there's something I'm missing here, please let me know. From freaky little guys, we go to cute little guys with Armor Rhino,
Aw.
the Spike Ball Pokemon, a
So
pure
cute.
Steel type. This thing is just so freaking cute, I had to include it. It has an evolution that has yet to be unveiled, but honestly, I would pull an Ash and just keep this dude in this form forever. I want my little roly-poly Bell Rhino to stay that way.
It's
With
so
Crobat
cute.
being my favorite Pokemon, I'm always looking to see if a Fakemon region has a bat Pokemon, and I'm happy to report Kairios does with Toombat and Mumbat. They are
Aw.
both flying ghost types, which is such a fun type combo. They have a final
at
evolution that
Toombat.
hasn't been revealed yet, but it seems that they're leaning towards being mummified bat Pokemon, which is so cool. This is definitely a refreshing twist on the vampire bat concept. They are somehow adorable
battle.
and epic at the same time, and I just love them. For the regional fish, it seems as though that spot is taken by Sordine, the herring Pokemon, a pure water type. This thing is too
Based on
cute
the
for its own
swording.
good. It looks like a little swordfish version of Wishy-Washy, and I would definitely catch this whenever I got the chance. Swordine evolves at level 28 into Sword Jetska, the fencing Pokemon.
Ooh,
a water
now
steel
that's a
type.
Molin.
Though the name feels a bit clunky to me, this is absolutely a staple of the team I would have for this region. A water steel type with a design like that? Yeah, I want to look at this thing as much as possible. Call me an
Agreed.
Edgelord, I don't care, this thing is cool. Next, we have Sandurly and Doomsday,
Ooh.
both a ground fairy type, which is a type combo we don't currently have. These two are the
Doomsday.
cutest little references to the Sands of Time. I'm unsure what kind of object Doomsday is supposed to be based on, but its name is just an absolutely fantastic pun that was too good to ignore.
Oh,
Last but
agreed.
not least, we have Conphoenix, the Sunray Pokemon, a fire flying type. I
And now we have Raw.
adore the design of this Pokemon. The ring of light forming into a sun around the neck of this Pokemon is so cool, and at the same time references how this Pokemon is based on the Egyptian god of the sun, Ra. Apparently, people of Kyrios often mistake Conphoenix for the sun as it flies overhead, just because of how brightly it shines. And that's a look at the Kyrios region.
That can be
A huge
troublesome.
thank you to them for letting me review their region. Again, make sure to go check them out in the description. And a huge thank you goes to our incredible members whose names you can see on screen for going that extra
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.